Imagine for a moment the vast and unfathomable digital ocean we navigate every single day. We glide across the surface of this immensity, lit by the neon lights of social media, sanitized search engines, and entertainment platforms designed to keep us in a state of perpetual distraction. On this surface layer, everything feels predictable, algorithmic, and above all, safe. We think we understand the rules of the game. We believe the glowing glass screen in front of us acts as an impenetrable shield, a barrier separating our vulnerable physical reality from the vastness of the network. However, beneath that false sense of security, under that thin layer of manufactured normalcy, there are abyssal depths, dark zones where the rules blur, where identities are malleable, and where information flows through invisible currents, completely foreign to the average user. Today, we are going to dive into one of those abysses. We are going to explore a case that shattered the illusion of privacy and security on the internet, a phenomenon that reminds us that the true monsters of the modern age don't live in dark woods or abandoned castles, but in forgotten servers and lines of code hidden in plain sight. We are talking about an enigma that defies our understanding of online identity, a puzzle involving underground forums, stolen identities, shadow trades, and a level of paranoia that turns out to be deeply justified. This is the psychological and digital labyrinth known as Lake City Quiet Pills. To understand the magnitude of this mystery and the psychological impact it had on internet culture, we have to go back in time. We need to look at the web of the late aughts, specifically around the year 2009. The internet back then was a very different beast compared to the corporate, hyper-monitored environment we know today. It was a wilder, more decentralized territory where discussion boards and emerging platforms like Reddit acted as virtual town squares. In these spaces, anonymity was the rule, not the exception. Users built identities based on pseudonyms, avatars, and the weight of their words, creating entire social ecosystems disconnected from their real lives. It is in this context of digital masks that our first protagonist appears, a Reddit user who went by the name Religion of Peace. At first glance, this individual was a statistical anomaly within the typical demographics of the platform in those years, which was dominated by college students and tech enthusiasts. Religion of Peace, on the other hand, projected the image of an elderly man, a veteran with a turbulent past who wrote from the perspective of someone who had lived a hard and violent life. Religion of Peace's contributions to the forums were magnetic and deeply unsettling. He didn't engage in trivial debates or meme culture. Instead, he shared extremely detailed anecdotes about high-caliber military weaponry, urban combat tactics, mercenaries, and black ops. His tone wasn't that of a teenager bragging about video games, but that of a weary professional, someone who spoke of death and violence with a clinical, almost bureaucratic coldness. However, what made this user fascinating wasn't just the content of his stories, but the strange duality of his online persona. Between accounts of how to clean a crime scene or the inner workings of a sniper rifle, Religion of Peace would interact kindly with other users, sharing mundane details about his old age, his health problems, and even photos of his everyday surroundings. This cognitive dissonance, this mix of a lovable grandfather and a retired hitman, created an aura of mystery around him. The community adopted him as a sort of dark father figure, a living enigma that everyone assumed was just an eccentric old man with a vivid imagination or, at worst, a war veteran dealing with his trauma through internet fiction. This perception of harmless eccentricity held up until a fateful day in the year 2010. Total silence fell over the Religion of Peace account, a prolonged absence that worried those who followed his posts. Weeks later, a new user appeared on the forum. His name was Angel of Light. The sole purpose of this new user was to post a funeral notice. He declared that the man behind the pseudonym Religion of Peace had recently passed away from natural causes, finally succumbing to his advanced age. The news was received with genuine sadness by the community. On the surface, it seemed like the melancholy, if mundane, end of a digital life. a reminder of human vulnerability that transcends the screen. The community paid their respects, condolences were shared, and the story of the old internet soldier seemed destined to fade into oblivion, filed away in the web's massive data graveyards. But human curiosity, especially that of online communities dedicated to crowdsourced investigation, is a relentless force. In their quest to pay one last tribute, some users began digging through the deceased's post history, looking to preserve his best anecdotes. That was when a seemingly insignificant detail caught the eye of an amateur sleuth. Months before his death, Religion of Peace had been promoting his own website, a place he had created himself to host images. The site had a peculiar and almost poetic name, Lake City Quiet Pills. At the time, the link went largely unnoticed. It was just another primitive image host in a web saturated with them. However, upon visiting the page after the user's death, the atmosphere of the place felt heavy, charged with a static and uncomfortable energy. The interface was Spartan, brutalist, lacking any user-friendly design. It looked like an abandoned corner of the 90s web, driven by an inexplicable instinct, like someone sensing a strange presence in an empty room. The investigators decided to look beyond the visual surface of the page. They decided to examine the site's source code. To understand the magnitude of what they found, we have to demystify what source code actually is. Imagine a website is a theater. What you see on your screen, the colors, the images, the text, is the play being performed on stage, the facade designed for the audience. The source code, on the other hand, is the backstage structure, the scaffolding, the dark cables, the director's notes, and the hidden instructions that make the play work. It is the raw language the page is written in, and generally, a normal user has no reason to ever look at it. When they opened the digital entrails of Lake City Quiet Pills, what these users found weren't simple formatting instructions or color commands. They found hidden text, messages deliberately embedded into the skeleton of the page, invisible to any casual visitor, but clearly legible to anyone who knew where to look. What they read in that hidden code chilled the community's blood and transformed mundane mourning into one of the deepest episodes of collective paranoia in the digital age. The hidden messages weren't personal diaries or the reflections of a dying man. They were encrypted communications, cold and pragmatic, written in unmistakable military and operational slang. They appeared to be a clandestine bulletin board, a meeting point for a network of individuals engaged in highly illegal and lethal work. There were references to payments in offshore accounts, requests for logistics to transport tactical gear across international borders, and most disturbing of all, job postings for what could only be interpreted as contract killings. The term quiet pills, which gave the site its name, suddenly took on a macabre meaning. In military and criminal underworld slang, a quiet pill is a euphemism for a bullet. Lake City Quiet Pills wasn't an image hosting site. It was a catalog of violence, a communication node for dispensing death. This revelation completely shattered the paradigm for those investigating the case. Religion of Peace was no longer a fanciful old man, and his companion, Angel of Light, was no longer a grieving relative. Now they appeared to be the administrators of a real-world mercenary network operating in plain sight, using the naivety of a public forum and the apparent banality of an image site as the perfect camouflage to coordinate blood-soaked operations. But this forces us to delve into a terrifying psychological and technological concept: steganography. While traditional cryptography tries to make a message unreadable by scrambling its letters, steganography is the art of absolute deception. It is the practice of hiding a message in plain sight so that no one even suspects a communication is taking place. It's the digital equivalent of hiding a stolen letter on a desk full of office papers. The use of steganography in the source code of a trivial web page demonstrates a chilling operational sophistication. It confronts us with the reality that the surface of the internet is an illusion. Every forum we participate in, every meme page we visit, Every seemingly innocent corner of the web has the anatomical potential to be a dead drop for organized crime, intelligence agencies, or worse. But the story didn't stop at the discovery of the messages. As the network of investigators dissected every line of hidden text, they stumbled upon a series of communications dated early that same year that made direct reference to a massive job in the Middle East. The messages spoke of an urgent need to obtain forged European passports to coordinate the entry of a large team into an Arab country, and specifically mentioned a target in a luxury hotel, discussing the need to avoid security cameras in hallways and elevators. The tone of these specific messages was urgent, meticulous, and professional. The investigators, operating from their basements and bedrooms with the adrenaline of touching something forbidden, began cross-referencing these dates and descriptions with real-world news. And that was when the coincidence, if we can even call it that, hit with the force of a sledgehammer. At the very same time those messages were embedded in the code of Lake City Quiet Pills, an international assassination occurred that shocked the entire world. A high-ranking leader of a Palestinian militant organization was killed in his room at a prestigious hotel in the city of Dubai. The crime was carried out by a hit squad of more than 20 individuals who used stolen and forged passports from European countries. They operated with surgical precision, evading most security systems, injecting the victim with a paralyzing muscle relaxant and suffocating him to make it look like a death from natural causes, before leaving the country hours later on different commercial flights. The similarities between the actual operation in Dubai and the logistics described in the hidden codes on Religion of Peace's page were too many, too specific, and too perfectly timed to be dismissed as mere coincidence. The theory exploded. The old man from the forums wasn't just a mercenary, but his web infrastructure had been the messaging system used to coordinate one of the most complex and high-profile political assassinations of the 21st century. At this point, we must pause and deeply analyze the psychological phobia that this level of discovery triggers in the collective mind. The case of Lake City Quiet Pills isn't just a true crime story. It's a direct assault on our digital sanity and our conception of safe space. Psychologists and sociologists who study human behavior in the information age constantly talk about the panopticon paranoia. Traditionally, the panopticon is the idea of a prison where guards can see every prisoner, but the prisoners can't tell if they are being watched at any given moment, forcing them to behave as if they are always under surveillance. The internet has inverted and distorted this concept into a nightmare. Online, we are all watching the same public stage, but we have no idea who the real actors are, what their true intentions might be, or what dark transactions are being carried out in the invisible code beneath our feet. This paranoia is fueled by the absolute loss of traditional trust markers. In the physical world, if a dangerous individual walks into a coffee shop, our primitive brain processes red flags. Body language, tone of voice, micro-expressions. We have millions of years of evolution designed to detect the predator in the grass. But in the digital ecosystem, that evolution is completely useless. The predator has no face, no smell, no voice. He hides behind the same font, the same sterile graphic interface as your mother or your best friend. Religion of Peace, the alleged hitman, used friendly emojis, shared cooking recipes, and talked about his joint pain. This is the ultimate manifestation of the uncanny valley, not applied to a robot that looks human, but applied to a human interaction that hides an abyss of psychopathy. The horror of Lake City Quiet Pills lies in the revelation that the very fabric of our daily online interactions is a fragile mask that, when torn, reveals a face of pure corporate and state-sponsored violence. To truly understand why this mystery continues to resonate and disturb newer generations, we must examine the underlying aesthetic surrounding it, an aesthetic deeply tied to the concept of digital liminal spaces. A physical liminal space is a place of transition, a hotel hallway at 3 a.m, an empty airport, an abandoned waiting room. They are places designed for passage, not for staying. And when we find ourselves alone in them, we experience deep unease, a feeling that something is fundamentally wrong with reality. The Lake City Quiet Pills website operated exactly like a digital liminal space. It wasn't a destination, it was a transfer point, a way station for assassins and spies, disguised as a dead end. Navigating through its empty directories, looking at source code devoid of design, the investigators experienced that same visceral terror. They were standing in a ghost's living room in a virtual safe house where death was negotiated in silence. This terror is amplified by the phenomenon of identity theft and credential theft, a central theme in the site's hidden messages. The Dubai operation relied entirely on stealing the identities of ordinary European citizens. Individuals who woke up one day to find that their names and passport numbers had been used by an international death squad. This is the ultimate fear in the information society, the annihilation of the digital self. Our identity, which we consider sacrosanct and anchored to our consciousness, is actually an extremely fragile set of data. It can be copied, duplicated, manipulated, and worn as a camouflage suit by unscrupulous entities. The case shows us that we are not individuals on the network. We are potential disguises hanging in a giant closet, waiting for someone with the right technical skills to put them on and commit atrocities in our name. The illusion of individuality crumbles in the face of the ruthless efficiency of cyber espionage. This inevitably leads us to another crucial aspect of this deconstruction: the alienation of the human being from the machine and the loss of control over our own collective memory. As the 2010s progressed and the story of Lake City Quiet Pills became a foundational urban legend, the internet began to change drastically. Tech corporations took absolute control of the public infrastructure. Independent forums died or were assimilated. Recommendation algorithms replaced random exploration. And most terrifyingly, the web was cleaned, sanitized. The original Lake City Quiet Pills page vanished, its servers were wiped, and the accounts involved became ghosts. Today, we rely on old screenshots and partial archives to prove any of this actually happened. This creates a modern form of global-scale gaslighting, a structural gaslighting where digital history can be edited, erased, and rewritten in fractions of a second by those who control the servers. The disappearance of the physical evidence of this mystery touches a deep nerve regarding the fragility of modern history. Before, history was carved in stone, written on scrolls that could survive millennia under the sand. Today, our darkest history, our most complex international intrigues, are written in fragile magnetic pulses, susceptible to data decay or the delete command of an anonymous admin. If an international network of assassins can operate through a photo hosting site and then wipe its entire existence with a single keystroke, forcing its memory to depend solely on folklore and the oral tradition of forums, what else has happened that we never discovered? How many digital Cold Wars? How many economic assassinations? How many mass manipulations have been coordinated through the source code of recipe pages, gardening blogs, or pet forums, without anyone ever looking under the surface to read the fine print of the tragedy? And it's at this point in the reflection where the mystery of Lake City Quiet Pills leaves the realm of a simple cold case and enters fully into the territory of contemporary existential philosophy. It forces us to look at our own devices with a mix of suspicion and revulsion. Every day that we open our social media, every second we spend consuming content curated by incomprehensible artificial intelligences, we are participating in a contract of voluntary blindness. We choose to believe in the graphic interface. We choose to believe people are who they say they are. We choose to believe the algorithm shows us reality. But the ghost of Religion of Peace and his associates stands as a monument to our collective naivety. They remind us that the network is not a tool for human connection, but a Darwinian ecosystem of information, where camouflage is the most basic survival tactic and where alpha predators don't need physical fangs, just a superior knowledge of network protocols and an absolute lack of empathy. As we move toward a future dominated by increasingly autonomous AI systems, the paradigm raised by this case in the year 2009 becomes even more terrifying. If a simple network of humans using rudimentary hidden code could trick the world and organize massive covert operations under the noses of conventional intelligence agencies, imagine what advanced neural networks could be doing right now. We no longer need an old man with tired fingers to type out assassination orders on an outdated forum. Today, automated disinformation systems operate with perfect synthetic identities, millions of ghost accounts that don't just steal identities, but manufacture them from thin air, with computer-generated faces and biographies meticulously designed by algorithms. Steganography no longer requires hiding text in page code. Messages can be hidden in the pixel variations of a viral video, in the rhythm of an AI-generated song, or in the behavior patterns of bot swarms. The threat has evolved exponentially, but the fundamental vulnerability of the human being in front of the screen remains exactly the same. The legacy of this enigma lies, therefore, in its ability to inoculate us with a healthy and necessary doubt. It is a painful but indispensable vaccine against blind faith in technological infrastructure. By reviewing the details of this case, from mundane conversations about the weather to cold price lists for target neutralization, we are forced to confront the schizophrenic nature of our hyper-connected world. We inhabit a reality where civilization and barbarism share the same bandwidth, where the line separating a safe haven from an active war zone is as thin as a hypertext markup language tag. Lake City. Quiet Pills is the ultimate triumph of darkness over the transparency promised by the digital age. It is the empirical demonstration that true privacy is a privilege reserved only for those willing to operate in the shadows, while the rest of us, the general public, are merely spectators in a theater whose true machinations we will never fully understand. Modern loneliness, often described as the great epidemic of our era, finds a sinister echo in this story. We look to the internet for connection, for comfort, for a tribe that understands us, just as the Reddit community thought they found in the figure of a lonely old veteran. We deposit our emotions, our time, and our trust in incorporeal avatars. However, the void underlying these interactions is brutally exposed when the curtain falls and reveals the cold, utilitarian machinery that may be operating behind it. The alienation we feel upon discovering that our human connection was just collateral damage in the cover-up of an intelligence network is profound and irreparable. It leaves us isolated, stripped of certainties, floating in a sea of data where anyone can be everything, and therefore no one is really anything. It is the absolute terror of digital solipsism, the paralyzing suspicion that on the other side of the screen, there are only monsters, machines, or an infinite void staring back at us. In conclusion, the dark epic of Lake City Quiet Pills transcends the category of a simple unsolved mystery to become a founding myth of cyber paranoia. It has taught us that the internet is not a reflection of our physical world, but a dark mirror that magnifies our capacity for deception, anonymity, and depersonalized violence. As long as we keep typing in the dark, blindly trusting the illuminated surface of our screens, the spirit of Religion of Peace and the echoes of his lethal communications will continue to haunt the hidden codes of our reality. They remind us that in the vast and indifferent ocean of the web, monsters are real. They operate with extraordinary efficiency, and most terrifying of all, they are probably reading along with us at this very moment. Until next time, and always watch what is lurking behind the screen.